Welcome back to the Navy Sports Magazine. Patriot League Championships coming up this week as the Mids look to try and win on the men and the women's side with Ariana McKenzie, who, like Charles Crispy earlier, has a different discipline. She just doesn't roll out to the track, stand on the line, run in a straight line for 100 yards, and everybody cheers. She goes for one of the more difficult disciplines, and that's, of course, throwing. And go back to your time at Bullis, you and Dwayne Haskins crossover at any point there, the current Redskins quarterback?
Yes, sir. We're pretty good friends.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dwayne's doing all right for himself. You're doing all right for yourself as an athlete. What got you into throwing?
Coach Campbell, my current coach, over Plebe Summer, I wanted to try something new. I was recruited here for basketball, and I saw some of the basketball players switched over to throwing, and I said, I'll try it out. And it clicked.
Now, as an athlete, you obviously have certain traits that you need to participate, but how difficult was it learning the discipline of the mechanics of throwing and getting it down to a level where you're competing at the Division I level?
It's been very difficult. It's very technical, and it's very much an individual thing. You're not working with your teammates.
Right.
It's pretty much you and your coach working on technique. So just a lot of long hours, extra reps because I don't have that throwing background from high school. So really just watching a lot of film and stuff and just repetition.
Now, in terms of getting those mechanics down to a science, so to speak, how difficult has that been? But at the same time, how rewarding has it been? Because in a relatively short amount of time, you figured out how to do this at a pretty decent level.
Yes, sir. Very difficult, very rewarding. I still get really frustrated at practice. Like one day I'll throw really far and some days I won't. So I just have to work on my technique, keeping the integrity of that. And my coach usually keeps me in line with that. And, if I feel as though I had a bad practice day or something like that, I'll just go in my room and start turning just like I would do. And it makes me feel better.
Is that where the competitor in you comes out at that point? Because the competitor knows when they've had a bad practice. But is that the competitor in you coming out at that point and maybe even in some cases overanalyzing what you did that particular day?
Yes, definitely. I definitely don't want to end on a miss. It's a basketball term. That's how I feel at practice. We don't have unlimited time here at the academy. So 100% I'll take it to my room if I don't finish off well at practice.
Now, when you decided to undertake this, how long did it take you to realize, okay, I'm going to go all in on this and give it a shot? Because that's certainly an interesting transition.
Honestly, beginning of youngster year probably is when I realized I'm going to stick with this and that all my effort's going to go into it. And that's when I started doing really well.
We talk about it with you guys compete in an interesting way. You mentioned it earlier. You're an individual within your sport, but it's within the team concept. How do you balance, obviously, what you have to do, the selfish part of being an individual, and then obviously doing the other things when, you have a little bit of downtimes, certainly during the course of a meet, to go out and support your teammates within the team portion of all this?
Well, that's one of the things that I love about Westby and Navy track and field. Everything is right there, at least indoor season. The weight throw area is right next to the track. And that's also right next to the training room and the weight room. So you could walk about 20 feet right to the rails and just be cheering on your friends running in between throws. So that's really good. I like that camaraderie aspect. And in regards to practice, it's very individual based. But as soon as you're done throwing, as soon as your turn is over, you're all in on the next person's throw, giving them tips, get your foot down earlier, up at the release, little things like that.
I asked Charles the same question. You guys have one of the greatest facilities in all of indoor to work in every day at Wesley Brown. Any preference, indoor or outdoor, so far as a thrower?
I like indoor season just because the team is all together under one roof. Outdoors a little bit more spread out, but obviously throwing out on Hospital Point, it's a beautiful view. You can't beat that. But in regards to camaraderie, I would say indoor is better for that.
Is there a huge difference in the variables of throwing indoor or outdoor?
No. So outdoor, I would throw hammer, which is lighter. Uh, the technique is the same. I just get more speed on it because it's lighter. Um, Indoors, a bit more controlled, a bit more calculated power on each step, but the technique altogether is the same.
Have you, I don't know what the word, have you satisfied your expectations so far making the transition to this sport the way you have? At least to this point, have you satisfied your expectations upon making the move?
I would say no, I'm never satisfied. There's always things that I think about that I could do better, step outside my comfort zone, little things like watching film, just getting more immersed in the track culture, knowing, you know, who are the furthest throwers in the world right now, like what is their technique, what technique works for, you know, body stature, little things like that. I need to immerse myself more in the culture. So going in, I wasn't even thinking that stuff, but you know, every year I'm realizing that there's more and more to track. So I'm not quite satisfied yet. There's still much more to come.
I was going to say that's also the competitor in you coming out at this point. I'll let you out on this. The fact that basketball, from where you came from, is a much smaller environment. Now you're part of a team that literally has, between men and women, you know, over 100 competitors in there. What is that dynamic like to have that many more teammates out there to, you know, share stories with, and, you know, maybe even when you need it, a little pick me up, and maybe, you know, you give one of your friends out there maybe a little pick me up that day, you know, maybe when they're down a little bit, need a little extra oomph out there, even if it's a practice or at a competition.
I love it. I love the big team. You know, we even travel relatively large to some of our away meets, and you may not even know the person that well, but just knowing the fact that they're cheering for you and stuff like that, it's just a great feeling. You know, it's kind of just like being at the academy. Like we all do plebe summer together, so we all know what each other went through. So we just bond over that.
Yeah.
It's just nothing that really basketball didn't, like, everyone did the same thing at the same time, so everyone knew what each other was going through. But with track, everyone does different events. There's so many different groups. All you know is that you're working hard and that we all go to the academy, and it's just that camaraderie. It's just different, and it's better, and it's a lot more.
No, there's no doubt it's different. One of the few and the proud that get to do it. Ariana McKenzie joining us here. Best of luck to you and your teammates this weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Ariana McKenzie joining us here on the Navy Sports Magazine.